Hi everyone, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, checking in with a weekly garden tour here from my home garden in central North Carolina, Zone 7. I'm standing on my back patio where everything is kind of lush and beautiful. We still have no frost in the forecast, so it looks like it's going to be a fairly normal and really enjoyable long fall season. I wanted to give you some updates on all of the areas that I've been planting this week and then show you how everything else is looking in its full summer tropical glory. So let's head out to the garden. So first, right here off the back deck, I wanted to show this border that I planted last Saturday and show you that the barley is germinating. It's the little grass-like, and I see some other seeds germinating. I see right there, that might be larkspur. I'm not sure, but I bet by the time I get back from my conference, this is going to already really start to look like something. Of course, all the kohlrabi and garlic are growing well, and the main element in all of these beds is this Ms. America. This is a hybrid mustard Mizuna, and I grew it last year. It's absolutely fantastic. It's highly, highly recommended. It's actually quite tasty to eat, but it's also beautiful as an ornamental. You see the feed tank bed's been planted a week now, and everything's growing really strong. The garlic that I planted last Friday is starting to grow. You can see those edges. That's my strategy for preventing the animals from eating. And all of the beds have garlic planted along them. In fact, every bed in my landscape will eventually have garlic planted around it, just sort of systematically going bed by bed, replanting. This is the one that I did yesterday. Well, I finished this yesterday. And overall, I think these are gonna look great. My hope is that the cabbage and broccoli that are planted throughout the back of the border will be harvested, you know, before the new year, and I'll be able to sow some poppies in that spot. One border that I just have not had the heart to rip out is this area with these Treasure Island sweet potatoes. I am gonna probably deal with this when I get home around the first week of November, but it's just so pretty. I can't undo it. I love it too much, and that's okay. Got to give myself permission now and again to just enjoy the garden. And you know, there's other areas that could use some cleaning up, but I'm actually going out of town tomorrow. I'll be heading to Mobile, Alabama for the International Plant Propagators Society meeting, organization which I've been the president of for the last 2 years, and I'm really excited to see all my plant propagation friends. This border is still looking pretty good. The squash has definitely seen better days, but it's actually producing fruit that I've been eating, so I'm not gonna rip it out because look at those little squash. That is Goldilocks from All American Selections, fabulous plant. And of course, here's the Puerto Rican Evergreen okra that just keeps on going. This is actually the first kind of ugly foliage I've seen all season on this plant, and I'm gonna have a ton of seeds. I'm really excited about that. This week I did some pumpkin counting, and I am happy to say I am way exceeding last year's. Last year I had 52. We're way beyond that this year. I have a bunch growing back here in the woods. These are growing kind of the more traditional way on the ground. And you can see there's pumpkins kind of coming everywhere. A whole bunch coming here. And I went back into the woods, and there's a whole bunch growing in there. But let's go back there because I want to show you the tea camellias. So this woodland, I hope to be able to push some of these compost piles back and tame some of this Ligustrum sinensis that's invaded the woodland this winter. I have a big dead tree that was struck by lightning. This week it dropped another enormous branch, just like out of nowhere, it just fell. Here is Camellia sinensis in full bloom. I absolutely love this plant so much. This is where tea comes from. Yes, tea. Black tea, white tea, green tea, all of it comes from this plant. This is not the time that you'd be harvesting tea. This is when it's blooming and ultimately setting seed. Tea harvest is typically in the spring when it's flushing, and all you're harvesting are the top two tips, or top two leaves and the tip. So harvesting tea can be, quite tedious, but it's a fabulous plant whether you grow it for the purpose of harvesting or not. It's just an overall wonderful fall blooming plant that the bees absolutely love. As we enter the woodland, I wanted to show you these sweet little bananas. I know I've talked about these before. I think this is Musa velutina. You can eat these, but they have an enormous seed in the middle. But I wanted to show you, here's another tea plant, some unconventional pumpkins that are growing in this pumpkin patch. And there's a whole bunch, and there's a whole bunch of birdhouse gourds. And those are like self-sown because I didn't plant those this year. There's a couple down there, a couple through there. But look at them hanging out of the trees, along with the birdhouse gourds. I just think it's the coolest thing ever. It doesn't take a lot to make me really excited, and having my own homegrown pumpkins to enjoy and eat is definitely the top of my list for fall goals. This pocket with the Salvia leucantha continues to be one of the showiest borders in the garden right now, and the bees absolutely love this. For people that are really into pollinator gardening, this is a must grow. And all of the plants over here are looking great. I've been so shocked. This is a zucchini that was planted way back in the summer, and it didn't do anything. But now look at it. And it's actually, it is setting some fruit. Like there's a zucchini right there. I don't know if it'll totally amount to anything, but I just think it's so funny that it didn't grow all summer. Now that we're in fall, here it is. There's the kitten, Miss Ava Grace. Well, I hope I have my greenhouse set up for success while I'm gone. I have a bunch of plants that I haven't gotten in the ground yet. These are going to be going into different borders as I get summer plantings taken out and fall things go in. Since I'm going to be gone until the middle of next week, I've actually put these in plastic trays that hold water in hopes that, if we don't get any rain, they'll survive without much attention. And I'm super happy to report that after 10 years of growing figs, I have finally been getting a few fruit. And they are delicious. And of course, now that they're ripening, I'm going out of town. But all the plantings here in the fire pit bed, I think looks really great. Of course, all those succulents will go into my heated shed for the winter, and they'll just be dry. And all of these other pots will eventually get replaced with cool season things, particularly lots of grains, which I've started that process here in this big raised planter from Crescent Gardens. So that's a combo of kale and barley growing together, and they should look great all winter long. But right now I'm really enjoying that planting with the background of the bananas and the tithonia. Fall is definitely the time for Cuphea to show off, and it is not disappointing. This Cuphea has actually been hardy, and I really attribute that to the bottle wall, which creates a microclimate in the winter so that I can zone bend a bit. Coming around the north side, I'm really amazed at how good these plantings look, considering the fact that they get zero attention. No watering, no weeding, just they just grow really successfully. You can see the chrysanthemums up here haven't started quite yet blooming, but they're definitely about to bloom. This is a really cute, tiny pink flowered one called Jason's Grandma from my good friend Jason Reeves in Tennessee. The north border also doesn't get any attention whatsoever. The Mahonia eurybracteata is starting to bloom. You can see those nice yellow flowers. This is a plant I really love. Coming out into the front, I can say I have eaten some Cushaw squash and it is fantastic. It's so delicious. I'm really happy I have so many. I'm probably gonna harvest one to eat tonight. And here's another part of the Treasure Island sweet potatoes that I have not harvested yet. I love it too much. I just can't undo it. But I do have 2 boxes of bulbs that have come in this week, and I do have a big bulb installation that I'm planning to do in this space. So when I do tear out the sweet potatoes, it will be replaced with really cool plants. So I bet by the beginning of November I'll be ready, but I'm not ready right now. And same goes for the tropical foundation border that continues to just be awesome. I ate the first Tabasco peppers. They're really hot. I want to make Tabasco sauce with them. And I'm really excited that the senna has finally started to bloom. This is the African species, which I don't think would be hardy. I purposely grew it to not be hardy. And I'm really happy that it's finally blooming. It's a really cool plant. The texture is awesome. The smell of the foliage is so cool. And animals, it's poisonous and animals don't like it. So I've got to add this to my animals webinar. This front border, all the colors and textures. The carex have done so well. I love that this rose continues to flower. This is the 4 Roses bourbon rose. And the Edgeworthia that I planted last spring has really gotten significantly larger. It's going to get enormous. Hoping this papyrus will come through this winter in this spot. Overall, I'm really pleased with how these beds have done, considering I transitioned them, you know, just last spring. They've really filled in. And the Cushaw Squash wave, can really start to see some of the fruit are getting more of an orange coloration. They're really dense. They're very substantial and they're delicious. I'm so pleased about this. I have not identified this one, this random outlier. It's round, not the same. And it's about time to start harvesting sesame seeds. You can see the pods have opened and they're dry. This is the dark seeded sesame, the pink flowered form. And because I'm going out of town, I'm probably not going to get these collected until I get back. So the birds will probably enjoy feasting on them, but that's okay. I have more sesame saved to be able to grow out in mass next year. This border is starting to come back to life. I love when the mums start blooming. Mums are definitely my favorite ground cover, perennial ground cover. They give so much fall interest and super low maintenance. When these finish, I'll just mow them down with a push mower. And behind that is Callicarpa acuminata, the Mexican beautyberry with really, really dark purple berries. And this is just a real favorite spot at this time of year for me here in my garden. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this week's tour. There's so much going on still here in Central North Carolina, Zone 7. I suspect we'll be frost-free for probably at least another several weeks, if not a month. So I'm going to continue to enjoy all of these summer plantings while thinking about all the changes that I'm going to make to the foodscape coming up in the cool season. So I look forward to sharing another update with you next week. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.